I am very much an explorer. I think if I had to pick one trait that leads to success or even positive leadership or the growth of an organization, it would be curiosity. And it is a great summary of like how I perceive my career. I wanted to basically taste everything that the world had to offer. And also though at the same time explore who I was personally and to develop a sense of fearlessness and confidence in myself outside of just the professional world. And I actually explored a lot about personal development prior to professional development. And so I did a lot of kind of try it out and see what happens without concern of what will happen in my personal life prior to my professional life. And I'm happy to go through the different types of jobs I had in my professional career, but that like the idea of being fearless in my professional career didn't actually hit me until I realized that I was unbelievably unhappy, resentful, and very discouraged when it came to my professional life. I was like this very confident explorer in terms of my social life and different adventures that I could have outside of work. But for some reason, it didn't actually impact me that I like, it didn't really like a light bulb didn't go off that I could do that for my professional life until I was probably kind of like mid-career. You can't really get clarity on what you want to do without taking action and trying some things out. That's the number one mistake people tend to make is they sit and they reflect and they wonder and they go on a vacation because they think by doing those types of things they're going to get an answer. You get ideas, but you never get an answer. An answer comes from actually tasting what something means to you, what you learn from it, what feelings come from that experience, the people in the industry, if you enjoy spending time with them, if you are kind of not bored enough with the current content to explore what's next, because generally what we choose to spend our time on isn't the thing we're going to spend our time on in the future. It could be in the same industry, it could have the same values, it could have the same foundation, but the thing you do is going to change. For me personally, I dedicated my life to sports when I was younger. So I thought for some reason that being a professional athlete was my goal. I lived and breathed it. I fully encompassed this idea that soccer was my purpose. And so I only like I from everything from what I ate to how I worked out to the things I watched on TV to the parties I said no to the friends that I made. And I dedicated my life to this thing, to my professional life, to the detriment of my personal health because I wasn't as successful as I wanted to be. So I had a terrible sense of self-confidence. I didn't develop and create positive friendships. I didn't create a balanced life overall. And so fast forward, 15 years of that, what might happen to someone's life and someone's mental health.
Mm.
And so when I lost that, I lost who I was, and I was left basically with this, socially awkward, no self-confidence, no idea what he wanted to create in his life, human being. And I had the choice to either go figure out those answers, to dig myself, to climb out of the hole instead of keep digging. And that's what led me to that personal journey of, well, what does the world have to offer? And I put on this cap of curiosity and I went and did just a variety of things. It honestly, what's so funny is that led to me choosing a variety of professional jobs, but it didn't really hit me in terms of, well, what do I want to like I didn't really have intention of what I wanted to do until later on in life where I ended up in a position that was terrible for me. Because like but before that, it was all about developing who I was and experiencing the world from, being a costume character, being a liquor promoter, working in the bar industry, uh, walking around the city of Chicago with a big advertisement and sign on my back, being a production assistant for music festivals. I was actually it's so funny. There is a museum. I think it's in Wisconsin or Michigan. I forget. It was so long ago. That has like 16 different mannequins of my face because one of the jobs I had was being a live cast model, but they'd pour plaster on me. And so if it was weird, if it was fun, if it was social, if it paid well, I said yes and I did it. And I went and sought these opportunities out, but not to figure out what I wanted to do professionally, but to figure out who I was personally. I want to also mention though that I'm not just still an explorer. I found the thing that I love to do, but the way that I do it could change. So in that sense, there's a, kind of still a little sailor cap on, a pilot uniform on. I'm still flying around the world, figuring out what gets me the most excited. But now, so I work in the field of talent development, leadership, and career coaching. I split my time between kind of talent workshop facilitations, leadership assessments, and coaching overall. So I operate in this kind of box of how do we help people feel more empowered and accountable around their careers. It's funny that we're talking about jobs and being curious, and now I'm kind of in this space, but I found a way to do it from a corporate side as well as a entrepreneurial kind of a business side. I have multiple faucets that I can turn on and off. Autonomy and freedom was something I really cared about, and so I made that a part of my career. But I didn't just figure this out. This is also a journey. So once I actually realized that I knew how to be an explorer, but I wasn't doing it for my actual true profession. I was doing it just for my life and my personal health. I woke up and started doing it for my professional life. And at that point, I was actually working in healthcare for 7 years. I had multiple failed careers where, and I say failed, but it's because, like, for example, in undergrad, I mentioned the soccer piece, but then I was going to become a dietitian, but I spent 2 years studying the degree and the school canceled my major. And then I was going to go into public health and I got a job in the field, but then federal funding got cut. So they cut my position. And that happened 3 more times after that over the span of 2.5 years. And so I thought I knew what I wanted to do. I was working in health. And then I networked into a position working in healthcare. First couple of years, it felt kind of right. But then I realized, I kind of woke up and said, and did a little bit of an audit of my life because I wasn't happy and I wanted to explore a little bit more. And I realized that the field of talent development and leadership development, and this is for a variety of reasons, and integrating with coaching was where I wanted to go. And so then I started trying to become curious in that space and see what paths would lead me forward. So initially I went to my boss and tried to get involved in projects. That worked for a little bit, but then we got acquired and that ended up not working out. And then I started looking for job opportunities in that industry to get a taste of it. And one of the things that people tend to do wrong is they think they figure out what they want to do and they want to go from 0 to 100 all at once. In your career, there's no rush. Go to 0 to 1, go to 0 to 0.5, go to 0 to 0.25, which means get a taste of the field, start playing with it instead of fully committing to it. And that led me to going back to getting my doctorate in the space, doing some volunteer types of positions, eventually graduating, doing a bunch of research, getting published, finding my first job in the field. Didn't like that job, by the way. Wasn't a good fit, but knew that the field itself, like knew what was missing because I experienced that it wasn't a fit. Moved into another role, started building a team, playing. I was a head of talent development within the industry itself. Kind of made it in terms of my industry. At that same time, there were things that I didn't like. So now in the next position, I made some adjustments. And our career is supposed to progressively improve over time because your jobs are the research. And we tend to miss out on that, thinking that the job is the career. No, the job is just information to help you make a better decision moving forwards. Just like in your relationships, just like with the people that you date or your friends that you end up bringing close. And you have to have that level of awareness. You have to have this level of like lightness in terms of commitment and attachment to just kind of learn from your current environment while potentially improving for tomorrow.